Why is Pakistan's response so ferocious?
Pakistan is ferocious because Pakistan actually is ferocious. Pakistan is fed up with this nonsense. हर वक्त इन्होंने शोर डाला होता है, हर हमसाये को तंग किया हुआ है, बांग्लादेश को तंग किया हुआ है, भूटान को तंग किया हुआ है, नेपाल को तंग किया हुआ है, चाइना के साथ लड़ाई है, हमारे साथ मसला है, श्रीलंका के साथ मसला है, अगर कोई रह गया उसके साथ भी मसला होगा। सो ये जो एक हिंदुत्व की जो सोच है कि जी हम इस पूरे इलाके में गंगा से लेके पता नहीं कहाँ तक हम राज करेंगे, ये वो अशोका की बातें कर रहे हैं। और कांग्रेस जो थी उसने इस चीज को समझा हुआ था, निभाया हुआ था। नाउ यू कैन सी दैट विद द बीजेपी हिंदुत्व व्हिच इज बेसिकली एन आरएसएस आइडियोलॉजी, दिस इज अ सावरकर ideology. This is going to stop when it stops, or it has to be stopped.
Assalamu alaikum khawateen wa hazrat. The war is on. Pakistan versus India. This is not a cricket match. This is a war. और अब तक जो है पाकिस्तान जो है वो बढ़तरी हासिल कर रहा है। अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह पाकिस्तान ने इंडिया को मेजर लॉस दिया है। We've downed their 5 jets. उनकी ब्रिगेड उड़ा दी है। श्रीनगर के अंदर एक एयर बेस उड़ा दिया है और भी बहुत सारा नुकसान किया है। पाकिस्तान हैज़ अटैक्ड मल्टीपल सिटीज़ और इस वक्त भी जंग जारी है। एज वी स्पीक द पाकिस्तानी आर्म्ड फोर्सेस आर फाइटिंग अगेंस्ट द टेररिस्ट फोर्सेस ऑफ इंडिया। पे मज़ीद जो है इंसाइटफुल डिस्कशन और इंफॉर्मेशन के लिए हमें ज्वाइन किया है फ़हीम सरदार ने। He is a strategic analyst and an economic security expert. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Faheem Saab, the first question, why is India attacking Pakistan?
Well, India is basically has lost its mind and basically उनके internal जो मामलात हैं ना, आगे इलेक्शंस आ रही हैं, हर दफ़ा यही होता है, उनको इलेक्शन चाहिए होते हैं, पाकिस्तान बिकता है उनके मुल्क में। तो उन्होंने एक फॉल्स फ्लैग ऑपरेशन करना था। पाकिस्तान बहुत अरसे से कह रहा था, पुलवामा भी फॉल्स फ्लैग था, उरी भी फॉल्स फ्लैग था। सब की टाइमिंग्स आप देखें कि जब हमने यूएन में कोई एड्रेस करना था, जब हमने कोई बात करनी थी, तो ये अपना ऐसा कोई जो ना कि ये नौटंकी शुरू कर देते हैं अपना। इस वक्त जो उन्होंने किया है, क्योंकि बिहार में इलेक्शंस आ रहे हैं, मोदी की पॉपुलैरिटी जो है वो गिर रही है और मोदी के पास वो पोजीशन नहीं है कि वो जो 400 सीट्स, वो जो कहानियाँ सबको सुना रहे थे कि 400 सीट्स लेकर आएंगे, तो मोदी इज़ इन अ टाइट स्पॉट। तो उन्होंने अपने अवाम को जो है हिंदुत्व अवाम, हिंदू भी नहीं कहना चाहिए, हिंदुत्व अवाम जो है उसको इकट्ठा करने के लिए उसने एक कहानी घड़नी थी जो उसने घड़ी है। इस दफ़ा इतना ज़्यादा नहीं बिक रहा, लेकिन इसलिए इंडिया जो है कोशिश कर रहा है कि ये अपनी अवाम को दिखाए कि वो एक वॉरियर पीएम है और वो ये कुछ कर सकता है। लेकिन आपको पता है कि पाकिस्तान ने कितना सख्त जवाब उसी वक्त दे दिया था जब उनके 5 जहाज़, 3 रफाल्स जो शोर मचाया हुआ थे, जिन पे उन्होंने नींबू शींबू भी लगाया था कि रफ़ाल आ रहे हैं जी, रफ़ाल होंगे तो ये हो जाएगा। हमने वो भी गिरा दिए, सुखोइस भी गिरा दिए, बैंक भी गिरा दिया, उनके ड्रोन्स भी गिरा दिए और ड्रोन्स हमने आज गिराए हैं। और जो ब्रिगेड के साथ किया था, जो उनके एमओ डंप्स के साथ किया है, जो उनके लॉजिस्टिक्स के साथ किया है, और भी बहुत सारी चीज़ें। कैजुअल्टीज़ की तो हम बात ही नहीं कर रहे कि उनकी मिलिट्री कैजुअल्टीज़ क्या रही हैं। बहरहाल हम बिल्कुल तैयार हैं, लेकिन भारत इसलिए ये कर रहा है क्योंकि उनकी जो ये डेस्परेशन है, उन्होंने अपनी अवाम को दिखाना है कि वो बहुत एक मुस्तहकम और बहुत ही एक वॉरियर पीएम है।
अच्छा, we also see a change in the Pakistani attitude, Pakistani response में. Why is Pakistan's response so ferocious?
Pakistan is ferocious because Pakistan actually is ferocious, and we knew and we are fed up. पाकिस्तान इज़ फेड अप विद दिस नॉनसेंस। हर वक्त इन्होंने शोर डाला होता है, हर हमसाये को तंग किया हुआ है, बांग्लादेश को तंग किया हुआ है, भूटान को तंग किया हुआ है, नेपाल को तंग किया हुआ है, चाइना के साथ लड़ाई है, हमारे साथ मसला है, श्रीलंका के साथ मसला है, अगर कोई रह गया उसके साथ भी मसला होगा। सो ये जो एक हिंदुत्व की जो सोच है कि जी हम इस पूरे इलाके में गंगा से लेके पता नहीं कहाँ तक हम राज करेंगे, ये वो अशोका की बातें कर रहे हैं। अशोका को गए हुए बहुत अरसा हो गया और अशोका का जो एडवाइज़र जो चंद्रगुप्ता मौर्य एम्पायर के जो एडवाइज़र थे वो चाणक्य थे और वो पाकिस्तानी थे, टक्षशाली के। सो ये उनकी अपनी एक सोच है जिसको हम ये सोच जब तक ख़त्म नहीं होगी तो ये ख़त्म नहीं होगी, क्योंकि ये बहुत अरसे से दब के बैठी हुई थी, ये फट के बाहर आ रही है। और कांग्रेस जो थी उसने इस चीज़ को समझा हुआ था और निभाया हुआ था। Now we can see that with the BJP Hindutva, which is basically an RSS ideology, which happens to be linked to the man who killed their Mahatma Gandhi, Godse, this has erupted. This is a Savarkar ideology.
What has India strategically missed in this war?
जो सबसे बड़ी चीज़, the first thing that comes to mind, and it comes immediately to mind, is that India doesn't realize it's being played by the West.
Okay.
India is being cut down to size by the West because you see, you've got India showing attitude to the West. At the end of the day, we have certain countries in the West that are leading from the front, and for better or for worse, they are at this moment calling the shots. They don't like being schooled by a country that they have allowed to grow. I'm going to be very clear about that. India has been allowed to grow
By the West.
by the West. And the same principles, India is a rogue state. Every law India has breached and broken. India is being allowed to do whatever it needs because the job that India has to perform is going to be an impossible task, to fight China and Pakistan and to be the bad boy in this region. It's not going to work out. We're not going to let that happen. China's not going to let that happen. The world is not going to let that happen. But at the end of the day, you see that the West will not, they don't want to be lectured. And India likes to, they think they can lecture countries, including the West. This is the biggest strategic mistake they've made. Let's bring it one notch down in strategy terms. In Pulwama, what did they do? They made a strategic error. They misunderstood. They thought Pakistan didn't have the know-it-all. The Pakistan did not have the ferocity to hit back and look at what we did in just a few minutes. Everything was brought down. They were in a state of disarray, and they think they're out of that confusion. But no, I will repeat: India does not realize it's being used by the West. And India is doing itself a disservice by putting its economy at risk. And they seem to think that everything will be hunky-dory after this, because this is insanity. Never seen anything like this, that a country that's growing is picking a fight with every single neighbor.
So, with this point, what do you think really is happening
right now?
Yeah, right now.
Right now, we have a drone war going on between India and Pakistan. India lost 5 aircrafts. We just talked about it. I'll repeat it. 3 Dassault Rafales, 2 Sukhoi, 1 MiG. That's not counting the drones that were shot down, special drones, some kamikaze drones. They were shot down. They were locked and they were shot down. Their communications were jammed. It is a drone war going on right now. India is not flying its birds, its aircrafts right now, because it knows it's got a bad record against Pakistan. We're going to shoot them down. Anything that comes near the LOC or the international border, LAC, working boundary, we're going to shoot it down. It's happened before, we'll do it again. In the first instance, let's go back to the night of 6th May. We immediately reacted and we shot down their aircrafts. That should have been the end of it. But like a betting gone mad, India is now doubling down on its bet. It wants to extend this process. But it has changed its method of attack. No ground forces, no air force, only drones. So you can clearly see कि वो किस तरह अपने आप को tailor कर रहे हैं. However, I don't see them learning a lesson so quickly, and they should understand that South Asia, I'm repeating, they're destabilizing South Asia again.
And their own economy as well.
They'll find out in due course. And when they have a debt of 82% of GDP, so I think they shouldn't be messing around with the world.
Faheem Sahab, where do you think this war is leading?
Initially to chaos, a lot of chaos, but then order comes from chaos. So we have to go through this process. But unfortunately, this has been unleashed by India because of its own personal desperations. Any false flag operation that denotes there is something internally wrong in that country, that they need to do something to justify something and to distract their own people from the reality. Right now, 15 out of their whole states, and perhaps it's even the number is higher, these states have domestic insurgencies going on in India. Uska kaun jawab dega?
All right. पाकिस्तान को भारत में किन मुकामात को या किन लोगों को टारगेट करना चाहिए? दे कुड बी इकोनॉमिक टारगेट्स, दे कुड बी इन्फ्लुएंशियल टारगेट्स. लेट्स से इकोनॉमिक टारगेट्स में वी कैन टारगेट द अंबानीज, इन्फ्लुएंशियल में यू कैन टारगेट द बॉलीवुड स्टार्स. व्हाट शुड पाकिस्तान टारगेट?
Pakistan should follow the ethics of law of war as laid down by our beloved Holy Prophet, may peace be upon him. We do not fight those who are not fighting us. We do not fight those who are not involved in this war. But when it comes to the existing war, हमें बहुत clearly समझ जाना चाहिए कि इसके पीछे कौन है. वो एक ब्राह्मण आइडियोलॉजी है और ब्राह्मण नहीं मर रहे, दूसरे इनके जो कास्ट्स हैं वो
लोअर कास्ट्स.
ठीक है जी, वाशी, क्षत्रिय, शूद्र, दलित, अगर कोई है उन्होंने आर्मी में अगर कोई रखे हैं, मुसलमान हैं, सिख है, जाट हैं, ये सारे मर रहे हैं. अभी भारत में जो एक बड़ा मसला जो आ रहा है ना, जिस पे फोकस करने की ज़रूरत है कि जो एक हैवी माइनॉरिटी है उसको साइडलाइन किया जा रहा है एक आइडियोलॉजी के पीछे, द हिंदुत्व आइडियोलॉजी लेड बाय द ब्राह्मण्स. द ब्राह्मण्स आर सिटिंग वेरी कंफर्टेबली वॉचिंग द शो. ठीक है जी. सो दिस इज समथिंग नॉट गुड फॉर इंडिया. भारतीयों को खुद सोचना चाहिए कि भैया हो क्या रहा है उनके मुल्क के साथ, ये अचानक क्या हो गया. आज अगर इस हद तक जा रहा है, कल अगर चीज़ें एस्केलेट होती हैं फिर क्या करेंगे. भूल गए इनके साथ डोकलाम में क्या हुआ था, भूल गए कि अक्सन चाय में क्या हो रहा है इनके साथ, कि हर एक जगह इनके कोई ना कोई मुसीबत है.
तो बेसिकली आपके माइंड में है कुछ ऑफ है कि व्हाट शुड वी टारगेट स्पेसिफिकली?
वी शुड आंसर दैट.
वी शुड आंसर.
नो, उसमें ना जाएं आप.
ठीक है,
उसको जनरल रखें. आपने सवाल अच्छा पूछा है, ये एडिट हो जाएगा ना.
हाँ.
आप स्पेसिफिक्स में ना जाएं. आपने सवाल स्पेसिफिकली पूछा है, मैं जवाब स्पेसिफिक नहीं दूंगा.
ठीक है,
जानबूझ के.
ठीक है.
कीप देम हैंगिंग.
वी कैन प्ले लाइक दैट. ओके, ठीक है जी. We see a lot of anti-India, anti-minority hatred rising in India. What is driving the anti-minority ideology and hegemonic design in India?
It's basically the Hindutva ideology of perpetrated in modern times by Savarkar or whatever his name was. Ke Hinduism has to be the dominant religion, and of that, the top Brahmins have to dictate all the terms. We know how egalitarian the Hindu religion is. It has castes, which they're very restrictive, and they're not fair. Anyhow, that's a social issue. Right now, the Indian ideology is based on establishing a new Hindu order across South Asia, at least. Let's go back to Kashmir. Kashmir was, look at what they did in Kashmir. They did the same thing in Junagadh. They did the same thing in Manavadar. Firozpur was Pakistani. Even Hindu Rajasthan was coming to Pakistan. It was Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel who stopped Hindu Rajasthan from joining Pakistan. So if you look at all these events, there is a pattern. And you can see the pattern of using force and then claiming innocence, okay, we are being terrorized. I'd like to point out that in, I think it was 1940 or 52, Portugal took India to the United Nations Security Council. Why? Because India had, and this will sound very familiar, used an excuse to invade Goa, Portuguese territory, by saying, and I want to say, ये familiar लगेगा. They said that there's a problem over there and there's a refugee crisis. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
And that's why India had to invade, because the refugee crisis was destabilizing that region. Exactly what they said in 1971. So Portugal took them to the United Nations Security Council, and it was Russia's veto that saved India. Otherwise, India was going to get sanctioned by the world. So this is nothing new. India has a hegemonic design. That's what they try to do in East Pakistan and Bangladesh, and now it's all reversed. That's what they're doing in Kashmir. If you follow the line downwards, that's what they're doing. Junagadh, Pakistan territory, that's what they did. They tried to do that in Sri Lanka as well. So, everywhere you see they're trying to expand. And the history, there are historical anecdotes, reports, records that tell us what they've been doing. So it's not hearsay.
इसराइल इंडिया की मदद क्यों कर रहा है अगेंस्ट पाकिस्तान?
इसराइल एक आइडियोलॉजी है, और उस आइडियोलॉजी में उनका जो हिसाब किताब है, उसके अंदर हर मुसलमान मुल्क जो इसराइल को रोक सकता है वो उनके लिए मुसीबत है. पहली तो बात है हर एक ही उनके लिए मुसीबत है, वो तो अमेरिका को नहीं छोड़ रहा। जिस दिन अमेरिका के लोग जाग जाएंगे, सबसे पहले बकौल उनका जो था, इज़राइल को अमेरिका ही दुनिया से साफ कर देगा। जिस दिन अमेरिकनों को ये पता चलेगा कि इज़राइल ने अमेरिका के साथ क्या क्या कुछ किया हुआ है, ठीक है जी।
बिग स्टेटमेंट
जी, इट इज़ अ बिग स्टेटमेंट। स्पाइंग की हुई है, उन्होंने मसले डाले हुए, उन्होंने उनकी टेक्नोलॉजी चोरी की हुई है, क्या क्या कुछ नहीं किया हुआ उन्होंने, ठीक है जी। सबसे पहले लेट्स गो बैक, इजरायली टेररिस्ट किसको मार रहे थे? इंग्लिश ऑफिसर्स। मैं उस होटल का नाम मैं भूल गया अभी फ़िलहाल, वो मेरे जहन से निकल गया। दे वर किलिंग इंग्लिश ऑफिसर्स in Palestine. By the way, Golda Meir used to refer to herself as a Palestinian. These are facts. I'm not making this up. So we need to understand what's going on. So ये जो इज़राइल की जो philosophy है, उसमें जो मुल्क ताकतवर है, मुसलमान मुल्क, वो उनके लिए मुसीबत है। और पाकिस्तान सबसे ताकतवर मुसलमान मुल्कों में से शुमार होता है, और वो एक न्यूक्लियर पावर है, और वो पहले भी बहुत कुछ इज़राइल को हिसाब किताब में दे चुका है। सो इसीलिए वो भारत को सपोर्ट करेगा, जो हमारा एक अनफॉर्चुनेटली एक हमारा हमसाया भी है और दुश्मन भी है, तो वो उसके जरिए आएंगे।
आपने चांकिया का जिक्र किया था,
जी जी,
and you said कि he is a
पाकिस्तानी है।
Not many Indians know this, बल्कि दुनिया को इसका facts नहीं पता।
जी जी।
Who was Chankya really?
He was an advisor to the Chandragupta Maurya Empire, and he was known as one of the greatest strategists long before Machiavelli. And Chankya was from Takshashali. Takshashali's modern name is Taxila, which is 40 kilometers from Islamabad. He wrote Artharashtra. He advised how governments are supposed to be run, how conquests are supposed to be made, how you hire spies, what kind of spies you need. It's a fascinating book. He is, technically speaking, a Pakistani. Mehergarh, technically speaking, that falls under Pakistan. Mohenjo-daro falls under Pakistan. Harappa falls under Pakistan, and Taxila, 40 kilometers from Islamabad, falls under Pakistan. So Chankya is Pakistani, and they're quoting Chankya, they're teaching Chankya, and they're teaching Pakistani philosophy in their own services.
All right. The American neutrality in the Pakistan-India war currently, they've remained neutral. Is the American neutrality a betrayal to India?
If it is real neutrality, yes, then it is betrayal, because India is, and always will be dependent very heavily on America for everything. And that's quite ironic, because they're usually lecturing the West through their Shankar and other people as well. But we have to understand that, international interests change overnight. They change. So we have to see everything's in a flux right now. And what the bottom line is, what India tried to say after the Pahalgam incident, the world didn't buy it. The world knows India is lying. The world knows India is not in a position of truth. Pakistan is. Hence, India's very rapid attempt at starting something and then ending it. If you notice the press release, of their so-called activity on the night of 6th May, they refer to it as non-escalatory. That is, I think they need to see psychiatrists, because how can you not escalate something by crossing someone's border? And they think that we're going to say that, the warhead had half the yield, so we should not get twice as angry. This is ridiculous. So we have to look at it based on facts, not myths.
Pakistan has dealt with two superpowers. Has India made its last mistake?
If I can add to your question, has India ever dealt with a superpower, an angry superpower? Never. They don't know. They have been given lollipops. They've been coddled to this position of being spoilt, pampered and being spoilt. India is like a spoiled child. Right now, it's breaking all the laws because America and certain Western countries need India against China and other countries. India has persistently made mistakes. Persistently, India should not be picking fights, and I'd like to prove it. In every region, there's a big country. And that big country inevitably acts like a support system for that area. Brazil in South America, Indonesia in ASEAN, Japan on Southeast Asia, Germany in EU. But India is playing the dirty role of a spoiled child. India, being the younger brother of Pakistan, is one day younger than Pakistan, should really understand where it's supposed to stay and prosper in its own right. We don't care. But India needs to understand what it's doing. And India has not dealt with superpowers. We know how to deal with a difficult situation.
Is this the beginning of the disintegration of India?
I think so. I think so, because if you read the book, The End of India by Khushwant Singh, which was written many, many years ago. First time I read it, I couldn't believe what I'm reading. But now that I read it again, it makes perfect sense, because at that time, Congress was in power. And I'm talking about 18, 19 years ago when I read it first. Now when I read it, it's like a premonition of India was warned by one of its own citizens not to go down the path of fundamentalism, which it has. Look at what's happening in India. Christians, Muslims, Sikhs, everyone is under attack. Even the Hindus are under attack by Hindus. And South India is basically supporting the North through its financial prowess. The South is, peaceful and doing business. The North is there to try to pick fights with everyone. So the Hindus need to also sit down and talk to each other how to proceed forward in a shant way, as they would perhaps say.
Can India afford this war?
They think they can. No, they cannot. No one can afford a war. Let me be very frank here. Because the moment investment starts to fly out of India, they've got other avenues to invest. They can invest in South Korea, they can invest in Singapore, they can invest in the Mideast, in the safe areas, they can invest in South America. Why would they invest in India? The moment those dollars start to flow out, and if you note, India's FDI is on a decline, India's net exports is negative. India is not in a position to pick this fight, and they've got an 82% debt to GDP ratio, which for some reason India doesn't seem to remember.
India is using the Israeli doctrine. Israel used 7th of October to massacre innocent Palestinians. And India is using the 22nd April false flag operations in Palgram to wage a war against Pakistan.
Yeah. Basically, it's a deadly embrace that India has done with Israel. And since 2000, when India accepted Israel, India used to vote against Israel before that date. All of a sudden, India is being accorded a lot of diplomatic room to do whatever it wants. Countries turn a blind eye to what India has been doing. Every single UN resolution India has violated. Every single charter, every single rule, every single committee ruling, India has violated it. So Israel has violated everything as well. So you've got two rogue states trying to support each other against Muslims. Let me be very frank. India is anti-Muslim, Israel is anti-Muslim. And let's not mince words here. This is the reality of the situation. And because they seem to, for the time being, have converged interests, I would like to remind Indians how they are treated in Israel, what the Israeli public thinks of them. In many instances, not all, but in many instances, they have degraded the Indians. So Indians should really worry about their neighbors, not some nation thousands of miles away.
Jai Shankar. And a liability to India?
No, well, they think he's an asset. So you see, when you don't know what an asset from a liability, so he's a fast talking, he's got a very fast tongue. He's got a Japanese wife. He's got certain allegations against him, apparently, of misappropriations and bad management. And that's none of our concern. But at the end of the day, India, he keeps lecturing countries. I don't understand why he's lecturing the West, the East, the neighbors. He's always lecturing people. But when he visited Pakistan, he didn't lecture anyone, did he? Do we remember that when he came to Islamabad? He really behaved himself. I wonder what India is trying to achieve by a person who goes and lectures other countries. That's why India has made a huge strategic mistake by getting embroiled in a conflict with a nuclear-armed neighbor. India doesn't understand that it's being cut down to size. And if this is, I've been saying this before, this is there used to be 3 warning shots that I've always talked about. India needed to understand. India needed to calm down. India didn't calm down. This might be the 4th one.
And the final one.
Let's see.
Another very important question: what should be the role of the Pakistani embassies and ambassadors around the world in this war situation?
They should be reaching out to the publics that they're dealing with, publics in plural. They should be telling the truth. They should be giving out facts. They don't need to make up stories. They don't need to do anything. They just need to tell the truth. Pakistan has downed 3 Rafales, 2 Sukhois, 1 MiG, multiple drones. This happened in a span of minutes.
Yes.
So people need to understand how ready Pakistan was. And Pakistan is not a warmonger. Pakistan is a peacemaker. People don't seem to understand that. They will very soon. But our embassies just need to tell our story to the public that they're dealing with in whichever country they are. That's more than enough.
Also, to engage the governments and to prove place
that of course is parcel of their responsibility. I meant that in addition to that, they need to speak to the public.
Perfect. Any last message to the people of Pakistan and one for the people of India?
To the people of Pakistan Zindabad. ठीक है जी. Pakistan कायम दायम है, कुछ नहीं होने वाला. हाँ, मसले आएंगे. We will survive. We've been through much worse. And to India, God help you.
Thank you so much.
Which God, I don't know.
The guy one. Thank you very much, Faheem Saab. Khawateen wa Hazrat, thank you very much for watching. Do not lose hope. Pakistan is winning, as Faheem Saab said. Hum kahin nahi jaane wale. Lekin this is the beginning of the end of India and its terrorist activities and its dreams of becoming the Asian tiger or the new emerging superpower in the world. Pakistan is going to cut it to its size, to its deserving size, inshallah.